back to 3D Print Lab. Today we'll be printing the Naga spawning grounds. Phase 1 is location. While this is a Warcraft 3 model, it's actually going to be easier to find it in the StarCraft 2 editor using the Warcraft 3 art mod. Phase 2 is extraction. We'll open up the StarCraft 2 editor and go to console. Then we'll type in browse. And then we will find the War3 spawning grounds.m3. Phase 3 is coordination. We'll bring it into 3ds Max using the .m3 plugin tools, and we'll scale it up. Get rid of some of that garbage. And we will fix the size of this orb because it was too small and not attached. Make sure it's actually going to print. Next up, this column is missing the faces on the bottom, so we'll just bridge the edges to recreate that geometry. Up next, we're going to select all of the vertices along the bottom edge, and we'll scale them until they are zeroed out in order to create a uniform bottom edge. A lot of these models have this problem because they're construction states as part of their animations, so the foundations are not always level, but it is something you can fix. And we're going to take this pillar and we're going to move one of the edges a little bit, make sure it's print. Next up, we're going to hollow out the center and delete some of those faces, and then we will just bridge our way back up to the top to make sure that it will be solid walls. It's a little bit of trial and error, but eventually we are able to create a extruded box in the middle of the model. And lastly, we will just scale it up a little bit to match the power plant. Now bring it into Makerware just to preview what it's going to print like. And we'll scrub through to see what the end result will be. So we've determined that we are going to need at least a little bit of support. So we'll try doing automatic support, see what it does. I really don't like the way that looks. We also found out that there's this section in the back that needs to be modified so that it will print. So we'll go ahead and extrude that a little bit, as well as move some of these vertices a little bit so they're not sticking out of the back of the model. Next up, we're going to take it back in the Mesh Mixer, and we are going to do manual support. So we'll go ahead and build trees using the overhang feature. These trees of support will make sure that these parts of the model that need to be supported have something holding them up as they print. Now, it may seem like I'm putting a lot of extra support, but the thing about these is that you want to make sure you have enough support. If you don't have enough support, if you don't have extra trees holding up the main branches, extra branches holding up the main posts, it has a tendency to want to fall down. If it falls down while it's printing, then you'll have a field print. So if you're going to add these manual supports, I would go for more. More's always better. Phase 4 is conversion. I'll bring it into Makerware and give it a little visual inspection. And then we'll go ahead and slice it. And this will show us that those areas that needed to be supported are now supported by these trees. Phase 5 is production. I lost the first half of this time lapse for some reason, but it's 2 hours and 26 minutes for the last half of it. It's in 48 grams of PLA. Once the model printed, I noticed that there were some holes in the bottom. So I'm going to bring it back into 3ds Max and just cap those holes to make a more uniform bottom to the model. I was afraid that maybe some of the model would split apart, but never had any problems with the first one I printed. But it's better to go back and make things more proper. And then we will just combine these objects. Piece. We'll bring it back into Makerware and slice it. We print it again. It took 3 hours and 52 minutes, which is closer to how long the first one took. And it took 47 grams of my bronze PLA. And here are some macro lapses of the parts with the support and the raft still attached. And here's with the support and raft removed. And I use the plastic bag trick to germinate some seeds using the greenhouse function. Use some tomato seeds. Here are the planters with the soil and the seeds. Freshly watered. And here are the planters with the tomato seeds, tomato plants. 2 or 3 weeks later, they grew pretty well. I just left them sitting in my windowsill and made sure to water them every day, and hopefully I'll have tomato plants this summer. Anyway, that's the Naga spawning grounds turned into a planter box. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.